Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we're going to be looking at a new Chandelure. And ladies and gentlemen, point number one, I love Chandelure. Point number two, this is legitimately one of the most interesting and exciting Pokemon we've had in a very long time. It has been reviewed on the official website, I believe, and it has been translated by the lovely David Hochmann. And if we start off having a little bit of a look at the basics, it's got 140 HP, which is a little bit low, because Stage 2s like Empoleon have 160. Boo, hiss, etc. Although, to be fair, the one from Guardians Rising had 140, and the one from Lost Thunder had 140, so maybe we should expect it. Retreat cost of 2 is a little bit rubbish. Weakness to water is kind of alright. Any water decks out there are probably playing Articuno, which will get a one-hit KO, but water decks are just not that good at the moment. And it's a good time to be a fire Pokemon. We've got Salazzle. Discard a fire energy from your hand, draw 3 cards, which incidentally is exactly the same as Heat Factory Prism Star, a very nice stadium that you've got. We're getting Welder that lets you attach 2 fire energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon and draw 3 cards. It's a good time to be a fire Pokemon. Oh yeah, and you're also hitting weakness on grass Pokemon like Pheromosa and Buzzwole GX, and metal Pokemon like Lucario and Melmetal Tag Team GX. It's a good time to be a fire Pokemon. That's a good type right now. But what really excites us here is the attack. The attack is really fun. Discard the top 5 cards from your deck. This attack does 60 more damage for each Pokemon discarded, because you have a base of 10 damage here. Put as many of the discarded fire Pokemon onto your bench as you like. Now, I read this morning and I immediately messaged the lovely David Hochmann and I said, David, let me check with you, sir. Does this mean you can get evolution Pokemon onto your bench cheatingly, without having to evolve them up in the right way? And David said, yes, Wassy. That is exactly what this attack does. This is a phenomenal attack. Now, first of all, you have the potential here to do 310 damage. Now, it's very unlikely, but if you can get 5 Pokemon stacked on your deck, you're doing 310 damage. 5 times 60 is 300, plus a 10 base, 310. That's enough to get a Magikarp and Wailord Tag Team GX. And to be honest with you, right, you don't even really need to get Magikarp and Wailord Tag Team GX most of the time. You don't need 5 energy, because let's say for argument's sake, you get 4 energy. Well, that's 250. That's the vast majority of Tag Team GXs like Pikarom. Even 3 Pokemon here, that's 190. That's enough to get something like a Buzzwole. With a Choice Band, you're at 220, and that's enough to get something like a Zoroark. You don't always need that many Pokemon. This adds up very, very quickly. And it's for a single solitary energy. That's what's so ridiculous about this. You can be hitting that for a single energy. And look, if I told you there was a Pokemon that could hit 300 damage for 1 energy, that would probably pique your interest. And if I told you there was a Pokemon that could get 5 Stage 2s out in one go, I think that would pique your interest. And I know that both of these are very unlikely, but doing 190 is not that unlikely. I'll explain why in a moment. And getting the Stage 2 you want out is not that unlikely. It's really, really good. But the fact of the matter is, this is an attack which is way better when we can manipulate what is on the top of our deck. And we've got 2 really good cards at the moment that will absolutely allow us to do that. We've got Magcargo, whose ability lets us search our deck for any 1 card and put it on top of our deck. And we've got Mallow, that is a supporter card that lets us search for any 2 cards and put them on top of our deck. Incidentally, you cannot combine these to get 3 cards you want on top of your deck, because Mallow makes you shuffle your deck and then put the 2 cards on top. Magcargo makes you shuffle your deck and then put the 1 card on top. So if you use Magcargo, put the card on top. You then use Mallow, put 2 cards on top and shuffle. So you've lost that card you put on top with Magcargo. But Magcargo gives you once during your turn. Every single turn you guarantee 1. Mallow guarantees 2, but it is your supporter for the turn. The thing is, this is pretty much worth it, because once you've got Chandelure out, you need an energy, and you've got this attack going. So the real question here is, which Stage 2 Fire Pokemon do we have? Now, actually released and legal in the format at the moment, we've got 9. And some of them, I'm looking at you, Sun and Moon Incineroar, are just not particularly worth bothering with, and you know I love me some Incineroar. I've got a lot of love for Incineroar, but unfortunately it's just not that relevant in terms of being a good Pokemon. But how about Delphox from Forbidden Light? Once during your turn, you may leave the active Pokemon burned. Automatic burn. Once during your turn. And hey, how about that Infernape, whereby when a Pokemon is burned, your opponent's Pokemon, they take 6 damage counters for burn between turns. Generally speaking, getting a Delphox and an Infernape out at the same time would be ridiculous. You don't have enough draw power to get them out. You can evolve up too quickly. It's too much of a use of your rare candy, etc. Well, here, ladies and gentlemen, this is quite nice indeed. You use Mallow, attack with Chandelure, you do a minimum 130, but then you get Delphox and Infernape down on your bench, which means every single turn you can burn your opponents. They take 6 damage counters between turns. You see where I'm going with this, ladies and gentlemen? You see where I'm going with this? But there's actually more. How about the Blaziken from Dragonstorm? Once during your turn, you may attach a fire energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. So you don't need to just be relying on this Chandelure as an attacker. You can get Blaziken out, start accelerating energy from your discard, and bearing in mind, right, with Salazzle drawing cards, you're probably going to have energy in the discard. Incidentally, having Salazzle drawing cards means you can afford to play stuff like Mallow as your supporter for the turn, because you've got a draw engine, you're not relying on stuff like Cynthia. And incidentally, yes, you could use this to put another Salazzle on the bench. And of course, let's not forget, you can use this to just put another Chandelure on the bench. Now, there are other options, but as far as I'm concerned, they're the 3 I'm looking at that are out at the moment. The Charizard from Team Up is just a generally good attacker that accelerates energy to itself, so that might be one to look at. But don't forget about the new Incineroar that is going to be coming in Unbroken Bonds. Now, this ability does not stack, but it does make sure that all of your Pokemon do 30 more to the active. So now, all of a sudden, you've potentially got Delphox and Infernape that do 6 damage counters between turns for burn. 6 after yours, 6 after theirs, 6 after yours, 6 after theirs. Then you've got yourself Incineroar to do an extra 30 damage. And now let's say you hit 2 Pokemon, which incidentally with Mallow is guaranteed. You're doing 130. Plus Choice Band, that's 160. Plus Choice Band puts you up to 190. Plus the burn puts you up to 250. And now all of a sudden you're getting a one-hit KO on Tag Team GXs like Pikarom. Except you're only actually needing to discard 2 fire Pokemon with this attack. That's a little bit crazy over the top good, ladies and gentlemen. That's really crazy over the top good. And this is a single price Pokemon for a single energy. And now, of course, I need to remind you that Duskstone is a thing. Because, now you can't use it for your Litwick, but if you've got a Lampent in play, you can play Duskstone, search for a Chandelure, and evolve Lampent immediately. What that means is, you're not relying on rare candy here. Because what you do is, turn 1, you get your Litwicks down. Turn 2, you get your Lampent down, and then you can immediately Duskstone them up. You can get a turn 2 Chandelure without having to use rare candy. So you can even cheat evolution here. And remember, as soon as you've got one of these out, you can potentially get the others. Although really, I'd be looking at using Duskstone on Lampent to get the Chandelure out, and using Chandelure to cheat into play stuff like Incineroar and Delphox and Infernape. And part of the reason this is so good is that it's got all the advantages. Duskstone makes things a lot easier. Salazzle to draw into everything you need makes things a little bit easier. And then you got the stage 2s to help you hit the numbers. There's nothing to stop you using something like Alolan Ninetales to try getting your stage 2 out. But here, between Salazzle and Duskstone, I think it's probably going to be easy enough without it. And then you're doing great damage, and you are cheating evolution. Now, the other thing we need to mention here is you are still discarding the top 5 cards of your deck. That can be a problem. Generally speaking, I think you want to be playing stuff like Rescue Stretcher and Brock's Grit. Firstly, so that if you discard Pokemon, you can get them back. But secondly, as you get later in the game and your deck gets thinner, playing something like a Brock's Grit to go and put 6 Pokemon back into your deck means that the proportion of Pokemon in your deck is going to be really high, and Chandelure is going to actually do a lot of damage. That's going to be cool. Outside of getting Pokemon back, consider playing 1 or 2 Oranguru here, just so that you can resource management in an emergency. Fire Crystal will pick up free fire energy and put them into your hand, so getting energy back is fine. Brock's Grit and Rescue Stretcher will be absolutely great with Pokemon, and you can always play Power Pad to get your supporters and stuff back. But really here, I think you probably need an Oranguru in case of an emergency. It's not the easiest Pokemon ever to use, but you can do ridiculous damage. We got easy ways to stack our deck. You can get stage 2s out to give you a ridiculous advantage, and you can use Duskstone to accelerate easily. I'm giving this between 4 and 5 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. The fact that it's a stage 2 is a little bit awkward, but the fact that you've got stuff like Salazzle you attack for 1 energy, and you've got Duskstone, really makes me think it's not going to be the most awkward Pokemon ever. I am incredibly excited about the new Charger Bug that you can play with Vikavolt. It's just a double lightning you attach from your hand. That's a deck I'm most looking forward to starting to test and play. But ladies and gentlemen, this might jump into the number 1 spot. But I would like to know what you think about this, so please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but please do remember the rule. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about other games. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.